This will be part 2 of making a simple game using HTML5 canvas with JavaScript. In this part we will look at getting input from the mouse and the keyboard. We are going to build on the script from part 1, so if you have not done that yet, you might want to start with that part. There is a link in the description below to the first episode. In the description there will also be a link to the script after changes we do in this episode. You will need the HTML file from the first episode to play the JavaScript file from this episode. So I start with opening the JavaScript file. The first thing I will do is to change the color of the background of the game screen. That is just to get a different look for the thumbnail of this video compared to the thumbnail of the video of part 1. The only thing this has to do with game making is that it is always good to think a bit ahead. Okay, the first thing we will do is to show the values of the X and Y position of the mouse cursor. Having those numbers can be useful for a lot of different things. This is something you might want to do during the making of the game, but would probably not want to have in the final game. We start with making two variables to hold the numbers. We then change the string from part 1 that said hello world to use it to show the numbers of the X and Y position. The position that we are interested in is the position within the canvas. So we make a function that will take the top and left position of the canvas on the page and reduce the values we receive with those numbers. That way we get the X and Y numbers compared to the top left corner of the canvas. And that are the numbers that we want. Next we will add an event listener to catch the input. In this episode we will make a couple of different event listeners. The base for building an event listener is constructed like this. We have an element that the event listener is added to. We have 3 parameters. The first is the event that we are listening for. There are many different kinds of events that a listener can listen for. We will want a mouse type of event for this. There are a number of different mouse type events to choose from. The next parameter is a function that will perform some sort of action. The third parameter is by default set to false. It specifies if to use an event bubbling or an event capturing. The event bubbling will be good. And so we will add an event listener to the canvas element. We need a mouse event. We want to check the mouse position every time the mouse is moved. The mouse event mouse move will be good for that. We add a function and set the third parameter to false. We then add content to the function. We get the mouse position within the canvas using the function getMousePos that we created earlier. We then add those values to the variables we made to hold the X and Y position. And when we test this, we can see that the string on the game screen now shows us the X and Y position of the mouse cursor. Next, we will use a mouse click to do something. So we set up a new event listener using the same basic format, but with the mouse event click as the first parameter. The string that is shown on the game screen is set to move downwards and then jump to the top of the screen. We are going to use the mouse click to change the direction of that movement. First, we need a variable for the direction the string is going to move in. We call that variable ydir. and set it to 1. We then go to Update and change the code so that the code for the hello y variable to be increased until it is over 520 and then changed to -10 only will run if the variable ydir is set to 1. We then add code for the situation when ydir is not 1. In this code, the variable hello y is decreased until it is less than -10 and then changed to 520. So it is running in the opposite direction of the present direction. We set the function of the event listening for mouse clicks to switch the ydir value between 1 and 0. And when we try this code out, we will see that we can change the direction of the movement of the string by clicking the mouse. So now we got the basics for getting the mouse position on the canvas and for using mouse events. As mentioned, there are a number of different mouse events. It might be a good idea to check out the different options that are available and how they might be useful in different situations. Next, we will look at using the keyboard for making inputs. First, we need a variable to hold which keys are pressed down. Then we add an event listener for listening for keys that are pressed down, and we add the key code for those keys to our keys down variable. We also add an event listener that listens for keys being released, and we delete the key codes for those keys from our keys down variable. This way we have a list of keys that are being pressed. So now let's try to use a key down input for something. We could use it to change the X position of our moving text screen. So let's make a variable to hold the X position of the string. We call that variable hello X. We set that to 200 as a starting value, and we add it to the ctx fill text line of code. Next, we go to the update function and change the value of hello X if the left arrow key is pressed or the right arrow key is pressed. To do that, we need to know the key codes for those keys. Here are the key codes for some of the keys of the keyboard. You can Google JavaScript key codes to get a complete list. We can see that the key codes for left and right arrow keys are 37 and 39. So we will set our code up so that if 37 is in keys down, 1 will be subtracted from hello X, and the string will move to the left. If 37 is not in keys down, but 39 is, 1 will be added to hello X, and the text string will move to the right. So let's test our code. And it works as intended. So now we have the basics for using input from the mouse and from the keyboard, which is a good step forward towards being able to make a simple game. Next, I think I will look into collisions, but that will have to wait for a different video. For now, this will be all. I hope to see you in a later video. Bye!